Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh,
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny, like morning sex for your ears.
Ooh.
This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. Happy Valentine's Day episode, everybody.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day, lovers.
And Trevin,
Yes.
what is your dreadful dilemma?
So I have a dreadful dilemma that has nothing to do with Valentine's.
I know, I don't think mine technically does either.
For context, Emily and I recently had a discussion about whether or not we want to have kids or not, which I don't really want to have that conversation. We've had it before. We've talked about it. And I feel like the next time we really get into it should be if I am going to have one. But Emily and I have been having the discussion and just talking about, like, do you really want to bring a kid into this world like this? And blah, blah, blah. We had just had this conversation. Then I got to work the other day. And my coworker, Kayla, who is a listener, hello, Kayla.
Shout out, Kayla.
Was telling me that her daughter has just started doing taxidermy.
Oh, wow. How old is she?
Somewhere in her young teens.
Okay.
So she said she went downstairs to go get something from downstairs, and there was a big bowl of bones.
Oh, my God.
Just bones and soap and water. And right next to her coffee machine was a bunch of chicken bones on her table. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, here I am thinking about all of the fears of the thought of having a kid. Like, oh, the economy, what if it tanks? What if I can't afford to have a kid? What if no place the kid can go is safe? Blah, blah, blah. But here I am not even thinking that I could have a baby that's a bone collector. And that is so much scarier in some ways. Because I don't like yucky stuff.
Well, I mean, childhood is full of the yucky stuff, Trevin.
There's yucky stuff that comes with caring for a person.
Yeah.
And there's yucky stuff with just being yucky, and I don't want to be yucky.
Yeah, I mean, every child is going to have their own individual interest, and unfortunately, as parents, you cannot choose if that's staring at butterflies in a lovely meadow or collecting dead animals and building them back together.
And it is kind of like I said, like my biggest fear was if my child was a car person. I feel like a lot of our listeners out there could probably relate to this. I've had a couple other of our listeners that says that their kid's a little bit of a freak. And how would you guys feel if your kid was doing a bunch of weird taxidermy, leaving corpses of shit around your house to do their hobby? That would be very interesting. I never even thought about that as a possibility.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. I would say for me as a mom, and I'm maybe a little more maybe accepting, I don't know, than maybe I should be all the times of weird things.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like as long as they're not harming themselves, anyone else, whatever. And you know me, I'm a huge animal lover. I don't even eat beef and all these things. But if Lila was like, no, Mom, this is something I really enjoy doing, and it's something that I'm good at, I'd be like, you get it, girl.
Yeah, and let me also just be clear. I am making fun of the thing that the kid's doing, but like if I had a kid that wasn't to it, of course I would support the kid.
Totally. But it would creep me the hell out.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Totally. It would creep me out beyond measure, beyond words. But as a parent, you have to put it aside and let it happen.
So your life would be somewhat your nightmare, but you would be doing out of love.
Exactly.
And that's just a wild dilemma to have.
It is. It is. I also have a dreadful dilemma, and it's not something nearly as deep as yours.
Aw.
I have a prop.
Oh, prop comedy for a podcast. Look out.
I am addicted to my jade roller. Okay.
Jade roller?
This is my jade roller. I'm sure most people out there know what this is. It's just a little device made from jade and some metal rods, and you can roll it along your face, and it's nice and cold and refreshing.
It matches your outfit really well, too.
I did not plan that at all, but it does.
I also just need to know what exactly this is.
Okay, I know what people normally use it for. The coldness of it is really good for like bags under your eyes if you've had a night crying or sleep deprived or allergies or whatever and your eyes are puffy. It's really good for that. Also, it just feels really nice against your skin and it's a good relaxing thing. Sometimes people just do this as part of their beauty routine, but there are actual benefits to it, like the depuffing and all of that. And I don't know. I want people to write in and tell me if they do this too. I don't just use it for that though. I use it because where I get my migraines is right where my expressive ass face and my eyebrows move a lot. Anytime I get a headache, I find the knot in my eyebrow and I just go to town with this thing. Also, as someone who has weird jaw problems, I get a lot of knots in my jaw. It's just been such a game changer.
You're using it almost like a person uses a foam roller on muscles and stuff. Is it designed to be used with pressure or is it just supposed to be soft and just about the touch?
I've never looked into it. That's why I want people to let me know what they do. I know for a fact it's good for light touches. I'm using it for all sorts of pressure all over my face. Also, too, I'm coming down from a little like sickness with my sinuses. I even massaged my sinuses and it was heavenly.
Okay.
They drained and I blew my nose and it was like, I can breathe.
Sweet, sweet air of life.
I haven't gotten to the dreadful part yet.
Oh my God.
Sorry. The dreadful part is that everyone in my family is obsessed with it.
So they're taking yours.
Oh my God. Jordan's like, use the jade roller on my headache. And Winnie is over here like watching Cocomelon, just rubbing it all. And Lila's using it. So I went to the store recently, just the dollar store by my house.
Family pack?
And I found a mini jade roller. It was the cutest little baby one. And I got it for the girls so they'd leave mine out of this. Immediately when we got home, Lila grabbed it and broke it. I'm probably going to have to see if we can either glue it back together or get a new one.
Is that expensive to get a legit one?
I got this one as a Christmas gift. So I don't know. The mini one, though, was like $5 just for a small baby one. So I don't know what the big Berthas are. But guys, tell me how you use your jade rollers. Do you want to feel it, Trevin?
Sure.
Roll that bad boy against your cheeks. Yeah. Feel the softness, the coldness.
Okay.
Put it over your eyeballs. Yeah.
Actually, I've been having a sore right eyeball lately. So,
And guys, I'm probably doing the worst at explaining. There's probably way more to it about the jade and the stone and the temperatures and the everything that I don't even know. This is brand new to me, okay? That's why I want you to write in and tell me what you do.
Yeah, it does really kind of leave my eyeball feeling cool and refreshed.
Cool and refreshed. When I tell you guys, it has made my headaches go away because I really rub the muscles. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do, but I'm doing it and I love it.
Well, I will do some researching on them and maybe we'll have to get one at my house.
You need one, just like a bidet. And we are on to trivia. Whoa, Trevin. We do not have the rights to say that.
Let's have a fun time.
And I don't know about you, Trevin, but mine is Valentine's themed.
Mine is too.
Oh my God, please don't be mine. I will be be mine.
Oh,
I didn't mean to even go there, but please do not take my thing. I've actually been really afraid that you're going to accidentally somehow have the same one, but
mine feels really obscure, but we'll see.
Okay. My Valentine's Day trivia for you is this. The first recorded Valentine was sent out from where? Was it A, a battleship, B, a hospital, C, a prison?
Oh, okay. That's a fun thing, and I have no idea.
Oh, good. I know you're a little weird history buff sometimes and know these things.
Yeah, but it's usually just about stuff that's weird that has to do with death. This doesn't seem death related.
True.
I guess I'll go with what I want it to be, and I want it to be prison. So I'll go C.
You are right.
Oh, that's so sweet.
You beautiful Valentine. C is correct. The first Valentine was said to have been sent from prison. I want to give a shout out to the website Vintage Everyday. Born in 1394, Charles d'Orleans was a member of the French royal family. Despite the political turmoil that surrounded his life, Charles was best remembered as a gifted writer of romantic, witty, and sometimes wistful poetry.
Oh.
He wrote over 500 poems in the course of his life, with a particularly prolific period during his years of captivity. The 21-year-old was captured on the battlefield and brought back to England, where he remained as a political prisoner for 25 years.
That's over his whole entire life at the point he got arrested.
Right. He was finally released in 1440 and spent the last years of his life in France, dying in 1465. While captured, Charles has been credited with writing the first Valentine card in the form of a poem for his first wife. Charles wrote the poem in 1415 at age 21 in the first year of his captivity while being held prisoner in the Tower of London after having been captured by the British at the Battle of Agincourt.
Ooh, I like that name.
So this poem was written in another language and it has been translated into English. Do you want to hear this very first Valentine's Day poem?
Let's do it and we'll cue some romantic music.
Okay. I am already sick of love, my very gentle Valentine. Since for me you were born too late, and I for you was born too soon. God forgives him who has estranged me from you for the whole year. I am already sick of love, my very gentle Valentine. Well might I have suspected that such a destiny thus would have happened this day, how much that love would have commanded. I am already sick of love, my very gentle Valentine. What'd you think of that?
I'm sick of that poem.
God.
Just kidding.
So, unfortunately, Charles would be held prisoner for a quarter century and would never see his wife again, as she died before he was released.
Oh, that's tragic, but also fitting for a love story.
Oh, yeah.
I find that interesting that he wrote that in his first year being in prison, because that was probably before he cracked from being in prison for that long.
Oh, he probably lost all hope at the end.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
It was a depressing very first Valentine, but I think it was still lovely.
Yeah, it was very lovely. It was from the heart for sure.
But isn't that wild?
That is wild. That's just like one of those fun facts that I feel like you should just know about the holiday.
And now we all do.
So I've got a little trivia for you about an unsuspecting love.
Give it to me.
I'm going to give you a quote, and you're going to tell me who said it.
Ooh, okay.
Which historic figure is said to have said this quote about his white-feathered love partner?
Ooh.
I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life. Is it A, Albert Einstein, B, Nikola Tesla, or C, Winston Churchill?
My first instinct is to go with A, but then when you said C, I'm going to go with C, Winston.
Okay, you are incorrect.
Ah, was it A?
It was actually B. You were all the way off.
I was doomed. Doomed from the start.
So I'm coming from Britannica.com, who has an article called Nikola Tesla's Weird Obsession with Pigeons.
I should have known.
Yeah. From this website, it says, among Tesla's quirks was his fondness for pigeons. When living in New York, he spent hours each week feeding pigeons in the park and routinely took home any that were injured so he could nurse them back to health. He often kept the windows open in his hotel suite in which he lived so pigeons could visit when they wished, resulting in a horrible mess. He once even asked a hotel chef to prepare a special mix of seeds for his feathered friends. Tesla's acquaintances found his passion for pigeons puzzling because the inventor was a well-known germaphobe. Tesla never married, but he admitted to falling in love with a very special white pigeon that visited him regularly. He reportedly said, I loved that pigeon as a man loves a woman, and she loved me. As long as I had her, there was a purpose to my life. Tesla's bachelor lifestyle likely stemmed from his belief that intimacy would interfere with scientific research, being quoted saying, I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by a married man.
Oh, coming for the married folk, I see. Huh. I don't know why, but when you first said this question, I thought you were just talking about that they had a lovely woman who liked to dress in feathers. I didn't know it was an actual pigeon you were talking about. I don't know why. Maybe because that's weird, but I should have known it was Tesla. He had all those weird interests, but if you're a germaphobe, pigeons aren't the one.
As I had stated earlier in this episode, I don't like yucky things.
Yeah.
If I had a kid that wanted to be into birds, I'd kick that kid out. The birds are yucky and I won't do it.
Oh my God. Well, that's kind of funny that both of our segments had to do with, some literature, from
beautiful
history.
words by old men.
Yeah, gotta love it. You know what else you might love?
More old men?
No, let's give the people some ads. Welcome back. And I am going first this week.
How fitting with you being just the lovely person that you are doing the love episode.
You know what, Trevin? I try my darndest to be a lovely individual and spread the love any way that I can.
Well, I hope you came to spread it today.
Oh, I did. I'm going to start this off by saying that this is one of the most wild stories I have personally heard in quite some time.
Ooh.
And that is saying something for me and for you and for any of our listeners, to be honest, because we hear a lot of weird stories.
Yes, we do.
And I did want to specifically reiterate this again. We have no idea what causes these series of bizarre events sometimes. Sometimes we get lucky and we do. This, unfortunately, is one that I had to kind of create how we got to such a bizarre spot, but without any other teasing, okay? Let's just jump right in, and here we go. Have you ever had a bad Valentine's Day? I'm not talking about receiving some wilted flowers or months-old chocolates. I'm talking about a V-Day so horrible that no amount of therapy can ever help you shake it. For example, maybe you rented a romantic hotel room for you and your new Valentine, only to end up in the bathroom all night with food poisoning. It's not you. It was the sushi. Ugh. Or perhaps you planned an elaborate marriage proposal on the day of love, only to be rejected in front of all your friends and family.
Will you marry me?
Ew, no. This is our first date. Traumatic and embarrassing shit. Today's story is about a woman who had arguably one of the pettiest Valentine's Days in history. So pop some sweetheart candies and listen up to this tale about how the quest for love can end with lockup. Jenna was a 39-year-old Australian woman looking for love in Mandurah during 2023. She had many failed relationships, the latest being with her soon-to-be ex-husband. Jenna still found it hard to admit she was no longer a Mrs. and even continued wearing her wedding ring. Yet deep down, she knew it was time to move on. Her ex certainly had, as he moved his secretary into their marital home the day Jenna moved out.
Later, Jenna. Hello, Alexis.
With Valentine's Day approaching, Jenna made it her mission to find something enjoyable to do. With a quick search of events nearby, she found a Valentine's Day singles event being held on the 14th at the Monkey Bar and Lounge. Jenna added the event to her calendar, breathing a sigh of relief to have a distraction that day. She purchased a brand new red dress, got a fresh haircut on her brown bob, and made sure it was her ex's night to watch their children. Bye, kids. Make sure to cock block your father. The night of the event came, and Jenna looked stunning. She wore the red dress and pulled up to the bar in her polished red Mustang. If this didn't snag a man, she didn't know what else would. Jenna grabbed the handle of the bar's front door and stepped inside. A decent crowd of singles filled the lounge and lined the bar. Jenna scanned the room, deciding it was best to grab a drink before she mingled. After a couple of martinis, she began to relax and converse with the single men around her. One man had told her she was old enough to be his mother, while another referred to her as kitten throughout their entire conversation.
Meow.
Multiple men told her they weren't looking for anything serious, with a few being interested in ethical non-monogamy. There were a couple of single gentlemen with children, but others would make up weird excuses to get away from her as soon as she mentioned she was a mom.
I just realized I need to turn myself in for a warrant.
Jenna had just sat down to order another martini when a handsome fella sat down next to her. "What's that you're sipping on?" he asked Jenna, looking at her empty glass. "Oh, a martini," she replied, feeling as empty as the glass before her. "Bartender, another martini for the lady, on me," the handsome man said with a friendly smile. Jenna thanked the hunk and started chatting about life. She shared her highest moments of motherhood, the lowest moments of her recent divorce, and her overall desires of what she was looking for in a life partner. All the while, the sexy singleton listened to Jenna intently and politely. Once she was done, she apologized, saying, "I'm so sorry for rambling on. What about you?" But the hot man just laughed and said, "I'm not going to take up any more of your time to get out there and mingle. It was so nice to meet you, and I hope you find what you're looking for." Jenna was taken aback by this sudden farewell. Clinging on to her last bit of hope, she responded with, "Could I get your number at least?" The handsome bachelor's once smiling face now had a grimace of regret, realizing that the drink purchase had sent her mixed signals. "Yeah," he stated through clenched teeth. "I'm sorry, but you're just not my type," before walking away from her. Jenna wasn't sure if it was the alcohol or the bitter taste of rejection in her mouth, but all of a sudden, she felt sick. It had taken her months after her divorce to go out on her first date. It had taken her hours to shave every bit of her unwanted body hair for this singles event. And it had taken her all night to find one man who wasn't a creepy loser, only to get rejected in the most raw and jarring way possible. Jenna gulped down the remainder of her martini, feeling the liquor rush through her veins. She was not going to allow her Valentine's Day to end this badly. With a wounded heart and a belly full of booze, Jenna began flirting and falling all over the nearby males.
Show this mama a good time.
The absurdity of her slurring rambles and inability to act normally escalated, causing the bar manager to get involved. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm going to have to ask you to leave," the manager firmly stated to Jenna.
No, you are not gonna do this to me.
Jenna drunkenly yelled back while stepping out of one of her heels. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but..." Whoa, let's remain calm here." The manager panicked as Jenna pummeled towards him with her stiletto in hand.
Take that, jerk.
Jenna whined as she swung her pointed high heel at the manager's forehead.
Get her out of here.
Bouncers promptly escorted Jenna through the front doors and onto the sidewalk.
Now get lost.
She stood there for a moment alone, huffing and puffing from adrenaline and alcohol, before deciding her next move. She unlocked her cherry red Mustang, buckled in for safety, and started the ignition. Jenna backed out of her parking space, cranking the wheel of her sweet ride, and staring it directly at her target, the front doors of the Monkey Bar and Lounge. On Tuesday, February 14th of 2023, there was a singles Valentine's Day event at the Monkey Bar and Lounge in Mandurah, Western Australia. The event started out with nothing but love until 39-year-old realtor and mother Jenna Manley walked in wearing her red dress. After some flirtation and inebriation, It became clear to bar staff that Jenna was acting erratically and was asked to leave. Things escalated when Jenna allegedly hit the bar manager in the head 3 times with her high heel shoe. After being escorted out, instead of calling an Uber, Jenna got behind the wheel of her red Ford Mustang. And at 10:55 p.m., security footage witnessed her ramming into the bar a total of 5 times. She ran out of her vehicle, yelling,
Fuck you!
then sped off down the road, blaring her horn. A witness told 7 News, "She was at the bar and she was hitting on a bunch of men. She had a wedding ring on, so they called her out. And she was acting super drunk, so the owners kicked her out." Another witness said, "It was like a party for single people, so anyone that was single was going there. Obviously, she got rejected by someone and took it the wrong way." Regardless of why, Jenna was arrested at her home 10 kilometers from the bar later the same night and was later charged with reckless driving, common assault, criminal damage, destruction of property, and intent to harm. Jenna's lawyer offered an explanation, claiming that Jenna was offered a drink at the bar by an unknown man, and that after that, her memory became hazy. Jenna also had no previous criminal convictions and was granted bail. However, it didn't stop her from receiving any punishment. She was ordered to adhere to strict bail conditions, including a $1,000 personal undertaking, reporting to the Mandurah police station 3 times a week, random breath tests, a curfew from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m., no alcohol, and not to enter any licensed premises. Jenna was also disqualified from driving for 2 months. Meanwhile, the Monkey Bar has thanked supporters on its Facebook page, saying,
The Monkey Bar crew would like to thank everyone for their support after last night's incident. It was a sad way to end a great night, but we are forever grateful no one was injured and want to praise staff and patrons on their efforts to keep everyone safe. We hope to continue to operate while repairs are made on the outside of the venue.
So on this Valentine's Day, if you find yourself in a pair of handcuffs, may they be of the furry and flirty kind, and not the hard shackles placing you under arrest.
I mean, I get it. Rejection is not easy.
Love hurts.
And sometimes you do get really, really frustrated at certain points of being shut down.
I understand to a certain extent, Trevin.
I would never handle my problems in that way.
I mean, a stiletto to the head of a manager's face and then ramming your own beautiful red Ford Mustang car that matched your beautiful red dress that she was actually wearing. That's all real. And ram it repeatedly. And not only did she destroy her front bumper and all this stuff, but she destroyed this whole building and terrified people. There's videos where they're like, everyone run to the back.
Save yourselves.
And I know that's kind of fucked up. But because no one was hurt other than the manager with the stiletto, I don't know. It's absurd. It's an overreaction to no end. But yeah.
Yeah, it's also crazy to see that situation play out. Kind of like last week where I talked about being a bystander at the McDonald's watching the patrons get hit. If you were just at this dating thing and you're like, wow, that drunk woman is making a scene. And then you find out the person that is trying to ram the building is the same person that you were already kind of keeping an eye on. You're like, wouldn't be surprised if something weird came from this woman later.
Dude.
And then it actually happens.
Dude. Yeah. Obviously, like I said earlier, I have no idea what her situation was. There's no way to know. But one of the quotes did say that she was still wearing her wedding ring, so I did put that in there. Don't know if that was factual. It's just what the witnesses said.
I believe it.
I believe it too, but who knows? Maybe one of the drinks did send her over the edge, okay? Maybe. But I think at some point, a little bit of accountability has to happen, right?
Yeah, I've been super crazy drunk too. And, sometimes it just kind of magnifies certain things about you.
Yeah, me too, Trevin.
I think she's very capable of this kind of thing already, I imagine.
What is interesting is that she didn't have any criminal background or anything like that. And I didn't put this little tidbit in there. I didn't really know how to tie it in, but I'm going to tell you all about it now. After this story happened and she went to court, the local news was recording her coming and going from court like they sometimes do with weird stories. And in the video, she has this big old hat covering her face and she's running barefoot and she's just running from the reporters. And one of the reporters was even like, "Where's your shoes?" And I was like, that's a good question. Why is she in the courthouse without shoes on?
Answer the question all the people want to know.
So I just thought that was really, really bizarre as well. But I thought that the stiletto alone was like pretty shocking.
Stiletto to the heado.
But then when the ramming of the car happened too, and then she lived so close by and they just kind of followed her and arrested her. And
ramming more than once
Dude.
is the thing too. 5 times.
Can you imagine the impact she probably felt even being in the car, doing it once, going back, doing it twice, doing it 3, doing it 4, doing it 5. And then she reversed and blared her horn. Oh, and she got out, like I did say. She did get out of her car and was like, "Fuck you," and then got in and left.
Rockstar.
I saw the video. It was crazy.
Well, that is bizarre. I love how over the top it was. Our stories, obviously, Valentine's episode, are both going to have to deal with love.
Yeah.
One connection I will give ahead of time. Mine's also international.
Oh, okay.
Not taking place in the U.S. So we've got that love and international. But I think we can find something else other than, because obviously you're going to get love because Valentine's Day.
Yeah, I'll dig a little deeper.
So this week, I have a story from the news. It is not one that's recent. I feel like I've been doing a lot of recents lately. I will say that because it takes place in another country, in the story, I'm going to use U.S. currency. And then when we go into the recap, I will break it down a little bit better. So don't at me and be like, "Hey, when you wrote the story that took place in this country, they don't use the U.S. dollar, you dumb American."
Yeah, we are dumb Americans, but please don't tell us.
Yeah, it hurts our feelings. So let's continue this love romp into the second story. And here we go. We gather here today to celebrate love, or hate those that have it while looking for it on our own. Something like that. I don't know. I've always had a weird relationship with Valentine's Day. Even as a married man, I focus on spreading love every day and not asking one single day to carry the weight of the other 364. So instead of focusing on what we do for love or the complexities of having it, let's focus on the quest for love, namely, dating. In this modern world, there are numerous ways to secure a date. We can creepily try to horn in on all of our friends as friends.
Hello there.
Endlessly swipe on fake versions of real people. Or venture into the realm of meeting people, where I guess you approach individuals in the wild and attempt conversation. That last one always sounded like fake news to me. During my early years of seeking love, I let the internet do a lot of the heavy lifting for me. I was overweight, had extremely bad body image issues, and an anxious attachment style so strong, mountains would move to get away from me.
But I need you.
Because of this, I stuck to things I could control. At the time, internet technology was young, images took forever to load, and most websites were mainly text. Everyone my age was using instant messengers, and that's when I had my first taste of the disinhibitions that the internet gives us. In the halls of high school or within the walls of social gatherings, I was a troll who was too scared to talk to girls. I thought I had so much going against me physically that even if I engaged in great conversation, my physique would ultimately limit me before I had any chance to speak. But online I was a king. I learned the art of good grammar and spelling, and I strengthened my communication skills to match my natural way of speaking. By reducing myself to words on a screen, I knew that I was heard and seen the way I wanted to be seen. In a world of hard-bodied boys communicating in tiny text acronyms with no soul,
LOL.
I was impressing ladies with replies as smooth as butter. and sharing deep thoughts on Oscar-nominated films of the time.
The Departed was so good.
In my one-dimension square text box, I was Zac Efron, while the jocks were more like beans from Even Stevens. Of course, once I could no longer hide behind a few flattering photos, my sex symbol reign would end. If I didn't pick up on a bad vibe and sabotage it first, the girls would usually be put off by how timid and scared I was to actually talk to them.
I'm bashful.
I bring up my background not just to shoehorn in my writing abilities origin story, but to also point out the many different levels there are to dating. Where are we in our mental health journey can really affect how we act in moments, and how we are perceived can sometimes be unjustly decided by those moments. For me, I kept perpetuating a cycle of blaming my insecurity on the dating failures instead of seeing that I was ruining the dates by being standoffish. And for the poor girls, that must have been a weird date. You spend all this time chatting online with a poetic pimp of the prose, only to meet them in person and be stuck with a stuttering quiet boy who just stares and smiles? What a terrible date.
Check, please.
In tribute to all the women unintentionally led into dates, I offer the story of a date that didn't quite go as planned. A date that may even rival the experience of an evening with me, unraveling the complexities of my journey for love. The red stain of a felt tip marker cascades across a single square on a calendar. "It's Wednesday!" Lou shouted across his empty bachelor pad, running to the bathroom to start his morning routine. Welcome to an ordinary day in Lou's life. For our main character, productivity and success weren't just goals he placed on himself. They were mandatory daily practices. As a 29-year-old living in the Jillian province of China, Lou made sure to achieve all his business and personal goals. He essentially lived his life like a BuzzFeed article on things to do before turning 30. Working a job that required a suit, going skinny dipping on vacation once, and taking classes to learn a new skill. Lou embraced the lifestyle of an eager beaver. This approach left him successful, musically fluent, and unfazed by the number of people who have seen his balls.
Now that's a pair.
Every day started like this for Lou. There was always a new challenge to conquer and a hobby to tend to. He never took the time to sit still. Many of his friends speculated on whether he was truly that energetic or just running from something, but they always accepted Lou exactly how he was. Lou, turning off his shower, heard knocks echoing from down his hall. Quickly wrapping himself in a towel, he ran to the front door.
You're not working today?
"I took today off, Mom. I've got plans. Go ahead and have a seat. I'm going to get dressed." He lightly jogged down the hall into his bedroom, dressing while doing some breathing exercises to prepare for this unexpected appearance. Entering the kitchen, Lou began pulling random things from his cabinets, finally acknowledging his mother again. "So what can I do for you today, Mom?"
Well, I was just talking to Gloria Zhang at Scrabble night with the girls, and she kept,
His mother struggled to speak over the kitchen commotion, ultimately changing the subject.
What are you doing in there anyway?
"I told you I had plans. I'm grinding down my own chicory root and steeping it in a bag of soil I shipped from Tibet. It's supposed to give the tea a more earthy flavor and really send my taste buds on vacation. After I finish making this, I'm going to sit down at the table and make a ship in a bottle until bedtime."
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Can you put down your little science tools and come in here?
Lou gently put down his chicory grinder with an additional 3-piece attachment set and joined his mother on the couch.
People are starting to talk, Lou. You're always busy doing God knows what with your bean steepers and your chia seed whisperers. Am I ever going to get a grandchild? Do you even date? Gloria Zhang's daughter is single, and I hear she is a real prize to be won. Can you just conform to social norms and squeeze yourself into a box that doesn't quite fit you? Just for me?
Lou sighed to himself, looking off to the side of his living room. "I'm a high-functioning member of society. I ran a half marathon this year, and I just earned a bronze medal for learning Portuguese on Duolingo. I've completed 29 of my 30 things before 30 list. Isn't that good enough? Not everyone can find love." Freaked out by the vulnerability of the situation, Lou's mom gave him a pat on the back and slipped him a piece of paper.
Her name is Patricia. Just text her and set up one date. She's a sweet girl.
For the rest of the day, Lou drank dirt drink and assembled his ship in a bottle. He listened to podcasts about the economy and checked his stocks. However, the rush he usually got from these exciting tasks felt weakened and downcast. I'll just do it, he said to himself. What's the worst that can happen? Moving his chicory root-stained fingers across his smartphone, Lou messaged Patricia. Honoring matchmaking etiquette, Lou kept the exchange short and transactional. He made sure she was familiar with the restaurant, confirmed the time and date, and even stated up front that he would pay to avoid any awkward exchanges. By the end of the night, Lou had a dinner date scheduled for Saturday. A few days later, Lou shook the rust off his old date jacket, styled his hair nicely, and arrived at the restaurant ahead of time. Being so long removed from dating, he believed that some familiarity with the surroundings would help him feel more comfortable in conversation. He scanned his gaze across the fancy restaurant, taking notice of the bathrooms and various exits. Picking up on the waitstaff uniforms just in case he needed help, Lou's attention was momentarily diverted by a large family entering. The entire front lobby was packed with this army of seemingly related eaters. Two hostesses grabbed as many menus as their arms could hold and began to lead the first family member.
Right this way.
The line of people stretched as more family members continued filling in from outside. Lou looked around, checking for a reserved section large enough for this group. Turning from inspecting the back of the restaurant, he was greeted by an attractive young woman.
Lou?
The young woman asked, nervous she may have made a mistake.
Yes, it's so nice to meet you, Patricia.
Lou said, standing up to shake her hand. Patricia giggled, her shoulder-length hair swaying before the restaurant's lights. The moment her laugh touched Lou's ears, he no longer worried about the obnoxious family piling in. They could sit in the same section and he wouldn't care. At this moment, Lou was smitten.
I hope your arm isn't too tired from shaking my hand,
Patricia said in a bubbly tone.
because I've brought a few people I'd like you to meet.
With Lou trying to process the last thing she said, Patricia slightly turned her body towards a long line of people standing before her. She began listing off names, as people, one by one, stepped up and shook his hand. There was her mother Gloria, her dad Paul, his fishing buddy Frank, Uncle Sam, Auntie Ann, Average Deb, Little Debbie, Big Deborah, Ben, Jerry, their neighbor named Larry, JC, Lacey, Sonny D, Master P, Corey and his son without the PhD, Phineas Bratwurst III, Chester Chino with the nice pants, Marty, a random woman from the bar, 3 raccoons in a trench coat, and Chuck. By the time the line was complete, Lou had shaken the hand of 23 strangers. He felt like he had just gotten married, he shook so many hands. But this was just a first date. Lou sat down across from Patricia as the rest of the family filled the section around them. Loud laughter and conversation filled the awkward silences as Lou attempted to cut through the noise and start a conversation.
So, do you come here often?
Lou asked with a raised voice. Patricia made a cheeky smile as she began to answer, but before words could escape her lips, Average Deb interrupted.
Oh yeah, she went through a phase in high school where all she ate was this place. We had to take her to the emergency room because it gave her such bad constipation. Remember that, Patricia? Remember how full of shit you were in the x-ray?
The obnoxious family member yelled from tables away. The cute expression on Patricia's face contorted, turning red, trying to hide from the situation.
That's okay.
Lou spoke up, trying to make Patricia feel better.
I have this thing called nervous diarrhea, so anytime I get remotely worried about anything, I drop a brown bomber that would make Oppenheimer rise from the dead.
The entire family stopped talking and looked over at the suitor with a poopy little secret.
That's fucking nasty, man.
Chester Chino yelled, unlatching the belt on his fancy pants.
Now let's eat.
With that announcement, the waitstaff came in droves, handling orders of drinks, expensive cigarettes, appetizers, and entrees. The awkward conversations continued, but now more inebriated. Questions about marriage, sexual practices, and fetishes came at Lou from all sides. Corey and his dumb son tried to start an arm wrestling tournament, and the drinks just kept on coming. Any terrible subject you could think of, this family was discussing it. And any time Lou's answers weren't perfect, audible groans and mumbles popped up among the dining area. It wasn't until 2 hours in this trial by fire that things took a turn. While in the middle of a scholarly conversation with Patricia's dad about American politics and how to ethically turn that country around, the manager of the waitstaff stepped behind Lou
Pardon me?
and sat the check down. Somehow, in a section of 25 loud diners, the dropping of a less than 5-gram piece of paper echoed over the crowd. Ben, Jerry, and Larry all stared at Lou. Uncle Sam's mouth dropped, causing his food to fall out, and the crickets in the back alley played the song of their people, emphasizing the silence of the room. All eyes but Patricia's were on Lou, as she pretended not to see the check. Lou picked it up and looked. $2,800. He gulped, knowing the entire room was looking to his reaction for a sign.
Looks like my nervous diarrhea is kicking in. You all know how to eat, drink, and have a good time,
Lou announced to the room. All of the family began to laugh amongst themselves, agreeing to their skills of consumption.
Let me go to the bathroom and do what I do best, and I'll get back here to pay this bill.
With Patricia's family back to enjoying their drinks and laughing, Lou walked towards the bathroom, quickly passing it and going out the back exit. In August of 2020, a 29-year-old man identified as Mr. Liu went on a blind date in the Jilin province of China. In the brief communications beforehand, Mr. Liu set a date and time, agreeing to pay for the meal. However, on the day of the date, the woman, identified as Miss Zhang, arrived at the restaurant with 23 relatives. Mr. Liu remained cordial and proceeded with the odd encounter. According to various reports, the family went on to order large quantities of food, expensive cigarettes, and high-quality alcohol. By the end of the bizarre blind date, Mr. Liu was handed the check, totaling 4,000 yuan, approximately $2,800 US. Subsequently, Mr. Liu fled the restaurant, leaving the family to settle the bill. However, he was later contacted by Miss Zhang, who proposed that he contribute half of the entire bill. Mr. Liu agreed to pay 4,000 yuan, or almost $600 US. But this offered amount angered Miss Zhang's family, leading them to sue Mr. Liu. Wishing to do the right thing, Mr. Liu agreed to go to court, where the judge ruled in his favor, stating that he should only pay for his and Miss Zhang's portion, a total of 1,400 yuan, or about $200. In subsequent interviews, Miss Zhang told Chinese media that she wanted to test if her potential boyfriend was generous enough to cover the feast for 25 people. No reports indicated whether there was a second date, although the question would likely have been pointless. And that, my dear listeners, is just another chapter in the Book of Love. The story went viral amongst the Chinese culture, leading to a lot of different reactions. Although opinions on whether the man should pay the entire bill on a regular date were split, most everyone sharing their thoughts did agree that 23 relatives was excessive. I know Valentine's Day is a bit of a weird holiday for people. Like all of our holidays, it's just a capitalist cash grab, but it does celebrate something good at the core: love. However, it's hard for me to give it too much credit when I still have to work that day. Also, is Valentine's Day an ableist holiday in a world where some people can't experience love? I don't know. That's just a thought I've been having. Whatever you do, whoever you spend it with, and whether you feel loved at all, just have a day and make it a good one. I extend that wish to anyone on any calendar date. However, that does not apply to those who catfish, stand people up, or try to make a blind date foot the bill for an entire family reunion. That's not romance. That makes you an emotional scammer, a feelings fisher, a downright villain of love.
Okay, that story had me gripped.
Yeah?
Yeah, like I was just waiting to see what was to come. As soon as you started talking about a large family coming in, I was like wondering why. I was like, why was that detail put in there?
Will it be an obnoxious family ruining his day?
Yeah, I was like, is he going to fight someone? Like, blah, blah, blah. Then when you were like, I've got someone I want you to meet, I was like, no way. And then it was. And then it was like, here's the bill after all these awkward sex convos, which I don't know if they actually
made that up.
I assumed.
I just took, when you meet somebody's family, it's usually like a sibling kind of embarrassing your date. And then there's also, you know, anything you say wrong is kind of judged by the people around you. So I was kind of doing the meeting the family blended with a first date.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of that awkward conversation. And I imagine a room of 23 people that all know each other, it's got to be awkward.
And they are all there to judge you and to see if you are worthy enough to join their family?
I guess.
Date number one?
And the test was to see if you would pay that bill.
I wonder what the consensus, I mean, you kind of said it, like online when it went viral, most people, even if they thought that he should have paid, thought that her bringing 23 was way too many family members to start.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think it's a culture thing. It's not like it's normal there and not here. It's not normal there.
No, 23.
So many.
I have lots of branches in my family. I have a lot of family members. But even just me, I am struggling to think of 23 family members that I would want to go on a first date with me and be the judge and jury of it. I don't know.
I mean, Emily and I just combined our families and as many friends as we could And I think we were at like 50.
Yeah, that is.
And that was for a wedding, not a date.
Yes.
And that was 2 people's families.
My God.
So yeah, 23 people, and he fled, and they sued him.
That is the second part of it.
So they didn't see any error in what they did, which imagine if you did get awkwarded into this, and you're like, okay, I'll pay for this bill, which I don't know why you would.
Yeah.
That just shows that this whole family, they're not afraid to put you in a test. You know, they're not afraid to manipulate a situation. And like, how many other times are they going to start testing you? Like, are they going to drop one of their babies to see if you catch it, to see if you're a good parent later? Like, what the hell?
Seriously, that is just a huge red flag of what you'd have to deal with.
Yeah, the whole family is a red flag.
I get that sometimes meeting people for the first time and you're a protective family member, things can get weird. Even when I met my cousin's now wife, who I love, the first time we met, I was trying to be a little awkward and kind of just poke at her a little bit to see what she would do.
Yeah.
Like I brought up, I was like, yeah, did you know Brandon and I are in a pregnancy pact? And whenever I get knocked up, he has 3 years to get there. And like, I was just kind of like messing with her. And she just rolled with the punches so well that by the end of the night, I was like, I didn't want to like you, but I really do. But this is a test to another level. I was shocked by that. But then to find this man, seek him out, to get him sued, that was...
Which exactly is why the family is an entire red flag.
Yeah.
Like a lot of our petty stuff, usually you would think in the amount of time it takes for you to act, you should probably cool down a little bit. It's just like, okay, we... for some reason thought this was going to work in testing a man. We messed up. We should probably all absorb the cost of this together instead of being like, let's go through the court system and I'll see you later.
Yes.
And then the guy ended up having to pay less than what he had offered, because he had offered to pay like
a fourth of it, right?
It was like a fourth of it. Yeah. And then
the
even
judge
the judge was like,
no, you're only going to pay for you and her.
Yeah. So that leaves 21 people unpaid for it.
Okay, idiots. You should have taken his first offer.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's funny that you said that, because both of our stories do kind of have that whole thing where one petty part was committed. Okay. Your people tricked him into going to this weird family group date. My lady hit the manager with her stiletto. Okay. Two petty, weird. I mean, mine was more physical. Yours was more financial, but both horrible situations to put someone in. But then both of our people continued on and took it another step further. My woman rammed the bar and yours took him to court over it.
There's layers to this thing called love.
Oh my God. The layers of love that some people go to. I just can't understand.
Yeah, we both talked about Quest of Love at one point.
Yes.
Both international.
Yeah.
Plenty of good things to work with here.
Yes. My God.
And very different.
Very, very different, but still all tied into one little heartfelt bow.
So sweet.
Well, I hope that everyone out there is just having the best week and the best Valentine's Day. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to make love.
Bye.
See ya.
Whether you find yourself in a romantic evening with a pet or an awkward group date with someone's family you just met, thank you for listening to our show and happy Valentine's Day.
And do any of you parents out there have kids that are into super weird interests that just don't work for you? Find us on social media and tell me about it. Live Laugh Larceny on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or Threads.
And have you ever hit anyone in the head with a stiletto? If you have, let us know. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And review our show the same way I would review that first Valentine Amanda read. 5 stars. I'm in love. Review our podcast on Good Pods, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you review podcasts.
And Jenna looked stunning. She wore the red dress and pulled up to the bar in her polished red Mustang. Oh, excuse me.
Weird choice for sound effect, but okay. She pulled up in her Mustang. Excuse me.
That's how she pulled up, okay?
Okay. Pull up in the club like...
Blah, blah, blah.